2020. That judgment declared the COVID-19 lockdown regulations in Level 3 and Level 4 unconstitutional and invalid. After obtaining legal advice and listening to numerous comments made by members of the legal fraternity in reaction to this judgment, we are of the view that another court might come to a different conclusion on the matter. Cabinet has therefore decided to appeal the North Gauteng High Court decision. Government will ask that its appeal be heard on an urgent basis so that all of us can obtain certainty on the regulations. The Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, will be joined in this appeal by President Cyril Ramaphosa and the Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Cabinet wishes to assure the nation that all interventions introduced since the declaration of a state of national disaster in March 2020 by President Cyril Ramaphosa have been directed primarily at saving lives of our people. The restrictions placed on the movement of individuals and on the level of activity in the economy have been directed at slowing the spread of COVID-19 infections. While government appeals the court judgment, current regulations remain in force, and we appeal and urge all our people to observe all the health protocols that have been put in place, including washing of hands, social distancing, wearing of masks in public, as well as screening and referral for testing where necessary. Cabinet also approved the extension of the national state of disaster by another month from the 15th of June to the 15th of July 2020. As we all know, the national state of disaster can only last for 3 months or 90 days. And the 3 months or 90 days of the current state of national state of disaster expires on the 15th of June this month. That's why it was then necessary for the Minister of COGTA to request Cabinet to extend the state of national disaster by another month, which is allowed in law. The next area that Cabinet spoke to, the Cabinet remains concerned about the intensity and increase of COVID-19 infections in the Western Cape. To this effect, President Cyril Ramaphosa will undertake a visit to the province tomorrow, the 15th or the 5th of June 2020, to discuss the situation with Premier Alan Winde and the provincial executive, and to assess the province's readiness for continued management of the pandemic. President Ramaphosa will be accompanied by the Minister of Health, Minister Zweli Mkhize, Minister of Defense, Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, Minister of Basic Education, Minister Jackson Mthembu, and Minister of Police, Minister Bheki Cele, and other ministers. The fourth area we're speaking to is Child Protection Week. Cabinet reminds the public that this week is Child Protection Week, which started this past Sunday, the 31st May, and ends this coming Sunday, the 7th June 2020. Child Protection Week seeks to elevate issues of the protection of children throughout the year. This year's theme is, open quotes, let us all protect children during COVID-19 and beyond, close quotes. The last issue that Cabinet looked at was the question of water shortage. Cabinet has noted the recent drop in dam levels, particularly in the Western Cape. As a water-scarce country, the dam levels have a negative impact on our water needs. Cabinet therefore makes an appeal to all of us and all South Africans to use water sparingly. Thank you very much, DG. New from the box, DG Pumla Williams. Thank you, DG. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we will be taking questions. I don't know whether Takalani, are you going to be the first one? Are there any callers?
No, thanks, DG. There are no callers at the moment.
Thank you. Naba?
Not as yet, DG. We've just opened the groups now. Also, just to note that some of the channels had a problem with the feed because there was no sound on some of the pool feed that we had.
Sure. Okay. Do we wait a little bit longer, Minister, whilst they... I don't know. Do they get the... Oh, there's no sound. There was no sound.
We went to the event, yes, they've got the feed now, but the others are complaining that they don't have the sound. But we went to the CDC, they said their systems are fine. So we were trying to link up with the broadcasters that couldn't access the sound to assist them in the technical cover.
I guess that's the reason we are not getting questions, eh? There's one?
Yes.
Okay, can we take that?
Genevieve Quintal from Business Day is asking, will the High Court judgment be appealed in the same court or will government be approaching the Constitutional Court directly?
Thank you.
Can I use this?
Yes, Minister, you can.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question. We will appeal from the same court. We will take our appeal through the same court and probably then go to the Supreme Court of Appeals, but starting with the same court. We will not be going straight to the Constitutional Court.
Thank you. There's another one, Minister.
William Vogel from ENC is asking, which parts of the judgment is Cabinet specifically worried about?
When the appeal is lodged, because we don't want to lodge the appeal on the media platform. As you will know, the judgment sought to say that regulations level 4 and level 3 are invalid. Now, that's the appeal that will be lodging. In our view, those regulations were properly enacted and they served a particular purpose and within the framework of our National Disaster Management Act. So we don't believe that anybody or any other court will come to the same conclusion as the North Gauteng High Court came to. That's why we will then be starting with the same court and of course then go to the Supreme Court of Appeals, because we believe that other courts might come to a different conclusion on the invalidity of the regulations that kicked in level 4 and level 3 of the disaster levels.
Thank you. Takalan, there's still nothing?
There's still nothing.
Okay.
DG, thanks.
Okay, Minister, it means you were clear.
As much.
Okay, no.
Yes, I've got a couple of questions that have just come in. Paul Vicchiato from from Bloomberg, is asking how worried is Cabinet about the spur of recent court cases could cause to the credibility of government's decision making. Alex from Reuters news agency is asking, did Cabinet deliberate on South African Airways and the draft business rescue plan prepared by the airline's rescue practitioners? Did Cabinet take a decision about the funding proposed restructuring of SAA? And if so, how much funding did Cabinet agree to provide the restructuring of SAA? And then we also have a question from Chris van Vuren. He's asking, I thought it was said that government listens to the public. Why then the big fight about cigarettes? 11 smokers want the ban lifted.
Okay.
That's all for now, DG. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with the cigarette matter. That matter is before court, as we all know. So we are not a government that would like to jump and speak to matters that are before court. In my little English, they are called sub judice. Therefore, we'll not comment on that issue until all of us have concluded the court process. On the SAA, definitely the matter was not before Cabinet. Maybe we should indicate that this was a special Cabinet dealing particularly with the North Gauteng High Court judgment. So it was not a normal Cabinet. I think we had a normal Cabinet last week.
Yeah.
So this was a special Cabinet that dealt with the issues that arose as a consequence of the North Gauteng High Court judgment on the level 4 and level 3. That's why then this meeting arose. Our consent was definitely we will be concerned. That's why we are taking the matter on appeal, because we believe that our decision-making methodology was very open, and we did not do anything that would justify what the court arrived at. And that's why we're taking the matter on appeal. We are very confident, again, let me repeat, we are very confident that what we did, by the way, and that's the point that we're making in our statement, the articulation of levels, starting with level 5, level 4, level 3, level 2, all this within the ambit of COVID. These levels were crafted to save lives. That's what we were about. In fact, many commentators throughout the length and breadth of South Africa, and even beyond, including the World Health Organization, have said South Africa has done very well. The Secretary General of the World Health Organization and many other people in that organization have said the steps we have taken and also the various levels we have articulated basically allowed us to slow down the infection so that we allow our hospitals to be ready for the inevitable spike in the infections. So indeed, we have bought that time, and I think the Minister of Health has spoken at great length together with some experts on this matter. So our decision-making was therefore spot on. We acted early to put in measures to slow down the virus, to slow down the infections. And other people are saying that had we not acted as early as we did, in pronouncing on a national disaster in our country and followed by a lockdown, they are saying that we could have had thousands and thousands of people infected, and we would have also have had more people dying, more than the numbers we have. In fact, they are saying that we could have had 8 times the numbers we have had infected and 8 times the numbers we have had that have passed on as a result of contracting COVID-19. So our decision making of bringing in a disaster situation in our country, locking down the movement of people, locking down our economy, that has assisted us to save lives. And that's what we are proud of, that we were able to save many, many thousands of lives by the actions that we have taken. Therefore, our decision making can't be queried from where we are seated. Our decision making from where we are seated was spot on. Our decision making managed to save many lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we'll take one last round. Takalani?
Thanks, DG. Still nothing on my
Okay.
side.
Thank you. Naba?
Miriam Issa from Finweek is asking, is government confident that the case will be settled before the 2 weeks are over? What will happen if the appeal must go to another court and the process is prolonged? She's also asking, taking into account the cabinet cabinet stated concern over the rapid increase of infections in the Western Cape, is there a possibility that that province will be moved to a higher alert level?
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Earl September from Sont Courant is asking, is Cabinet at all concerned that the court cases could have a detrimental effect on the efforts to fight COVID-19 pandemic? Vuyam Voko is asking for clarity. Did Cabinet only discuss the ruling and absolutely nothing else? Betty from Channels TV Lagos, has the application for leave to appeal been filed already? And Evelyn from Caxton in Durban is asking, is it more likely that the current state of disaster might be extended, or is there a chance that there will be a new 3-month state of disaster declared at the end of this current one?
Was the person listening?
Okay.
Okay.
If the latter, would that be a manner of update all the information which government now has? And wouldn't that have, sorry, can I just repeat that last part? If the latter, would that be a manner to update it to all the information which the government has that it wouldn't have had when it's first declared in March?
Can we just start with that one, with DG Pumla? The law says we can only declare a state of disaster for 3 months. And when that 3 months expire, that 3 months will expire on the 14th, 15th of June this month. We have an option to then, we can't declare another state of disaster for another 3 months, but we can extend on a month-to-month basis. So that's why in the statement we said the Cabinet has resolved that after the expiry of this initial 3 months of the national state of disaster on the 15th of June, we will extend it by another month until July. If there is a need for us to extend again in July based on scientific evidence, we will do so as Cabinet. because the law allows us to have month-to-month extensions. So we have already taken a decision to extend it by 1 month. Have we filed the appeal papers? How can we file when we had not taken the decision? The cabinet took the decision today. Therefore, the decision will be acted upon so that we are then able to do what is necessary. So definitely we will not have filed today because cabinet only took the decision today. Now, another question is whether we will be able to do all these things within the 14 days that the North Gauteng High Court gave us time. No. When you file an appeal, there is something in laws that says there is then a stay of execution. So the court decision can't be executed because there is an appeal. So an appeal then can, which basically means that the status quo will remain until the appeal is heard. So we will not be inhibited by the 14-day period that the Gauteng North High Court has given. Once we make an appeal, new rules apply. Even the execution of that decision can be undertaken until the appeal is heard. So everything will then, the status quo will then remain, basically meaning that the regulations that we have now will remain in place and they will remain applicable till the appeal is heard by a relevant court. So again, we want to appeal to all our people, as we have done in the statement, that regulations that kicked in level 4, regulations that kicked in level 3, including all the directions that came from various ministers, they remain in force. All those remain in force, including all the health regulations and health protocols that we have crafted as a country. We have said people must wash their hands regularly. All of us have said it's a right thing to do in our toolbox to fight COVID-19. So it's not a government matter. It's a matter that all of us as South Africans must adhere to save our lives, to save our families. But we have also said all of us must adhere to something that we have coined and the world has coined social distancing. So indeed, we must not be in crowds. We must ensure also that we wear masks wherever we are, particularly in public places. So all these measures are meant to save lives. All these measures are meant to protect us from COVID-19. We have nothing else. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have a medicine to fight this disease. The only thing we have are these protocols, which these protocols also came in as a consequence of the regulations that we have. Regulation that kicked in level 3, regulation that kicked in level 4, regulation that kicked in level 5. So we are saying to all our people, let's observe all those regulations. Let's adhere to all those regulations because it's only those regulations that will allow us to save our lives. Without those regulations, we have nothing. Without those regulations, we can't save our lives. We can't save lives of our loved ones. We can't save lives of our children. Therefore, let's adhere to all those regulations that are meant to ensure that we save lives of each and every one of us. That's why they appeal. Because if we don't appeal, we stand a chance of people basically losing their lives, not adhering to these regulations, not adhering to these health protocols. We are appealing, but also we are urging our people, stick to these rules, stick to these health regulations, stick to these health protocols. They are meant to save our lives. Will we have a higher alert in Western Cape since there are more infections? I'm not qualified to say that. All I know is that the entire country is at alert level 3. No, there has been no discussion at Cabinet on making Western Cape to be at a higher alert level. All I know that we are all as a country and all provinces under the same alert 3 level. Safe to say, in all hotspots, there will be other enhanced regulations that will kick in. And of course, we will await the Minister of Health and the Minister of COGTA as it relates to those regulations that will apply in the hotspots areas. But all of us, as we speak now, we are all under level 3, and I'm not aware that the Western Cape might be extended to a higher level. I'm not aware of that. I didn't get the question on court cases and ruling and nothing else. I didn't get that. Can you repeat that one?
Is it the one from Mvogo? Whether did we only discuss? Is
Oh.
there no other issue?
No, Vuyo. The meeting, as we said, was called as a special cabinet meeting as a response to the North Gauteng High Court judgment. So it was a special meeting. Yes, you are correct. The meeting only discussed the question of the North Gauteng High Court judgment regarding the invalidity of our regulations, and we then agreed that we'll appeal because the meeting was occasioned by the North Gauteng High Court judgment. So yes, definitely you're correct. It was the ruling and nothing else that we discussed. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have one last round?
I have one last question, but I think yes, I've got one question from Richard from Maydorpi Media. He's asking, the World Health Organization has been heavily criticized during all of this for the projected numbers, and this week for shutting down the I don't know what that is, sorry.
Hydrochloroquine.
Yes,
hydrochloroquine.
Yes, hydrochloroquine trial. Thank you, Minister. Based on a highly questionable study published in medical journals that the UK's Guardian newspaper showed was linked to a company with employees have little or no data or specific background. Is this not time for the South African government to reconsider the trust it has on the World Health Organization and the resulting choices that the government is taking in that regard?
Thank you.
Well, we did not discuss the World Health Organization. Let's first start there as cabinet. So also the matter that you are putting before us now did not come before cabinet. Whatever happened in the UK, so that matter did not serve before cabinet. From where we are seated, we have every confidence in the World Health Organization, including its Secretary General. They've been able to guide the entire world. They've been able to guide the entire continent on how to deal with the COVID pandemic. And we believe that they've given wonderful guidelines to all countries on what all of us need to do in mitigating against the impact of COVID-19. Therefore, at a broad, generalized level, as government, we fully appreciate the directives and the guidelines that we have received from the World Health Organization, including its Secretary General.
Thank you very much. I think we've tried to take more than we normally do, Minister, because I think we took into account there was that lapse of other broadcasters. They are back, certainly back.
We are here. We are here until tomorrow morning. We are open for business, as the president would say.
So do we have any other questions on the line or on WhatsApp? And we will then...
Thanks, DG. On the line, there's still nothing. Thank
Okay. All right. Minister, I think we've come to the end of our briefing. Thank you. And thank you very much. We'll come to the end of the briefing.
Sabule.
Thank you.